Hi, I'm Caitlin E, and welcome back to the Lit Review. Today we are going to be talking about the Book Covered Book Club recommendations for March and April. So apologies, I know this is going up towards the end of March for folks looking for March recommendations. I am really sorry that this came up so late. You will have your April recommendations well ahead of time. I am still trying to figure out the best way to make these kind of videos in a way that actually fits within my schedule, because sometimes I can't always get them up very quickly. Today we are going to be talking about the two different prompts for the Book Covered Book Club for March and April, and I will give you about 10-ish recommendations for each by just showing you the cover. If this is your first time hearing about the Book Covered Book Club, it is my very casually run book club. There's very minimal effort on my part, but it is more of a fun reading challenge that we can do at our own pace and our own interest level. So I am a big passionate fan of book covers. I think they do something really powerful and interesting for readers out there, and I love keeping an eye on trends in book covers. So that's where the Book Covered Book Club came from. Each month there is a prompt that you can kind of check off as much or as little as you would like, and they tend to be things like images that are really consistent. A great example of this is the book snake from several years ago that was super popular. Maybe it's a color that is really popular right now, or sometimes just a big theme. I will link the Discord down below. It is very chill. I'd like to change that sometime in the future, so please let me know what you would like to see in the Discord, and I will try my best to accommodate. I feel like I'm still learning how to utilize that platform properly, so let's learn together and make this community what we'd like it to be. But if Discord's not your thing, there's also a story graph challenge linked below. And my general rule of thumb is you can read one book a month, and that's fantastic. You can read as many books as you want to fit the prompt, and that is also still amazing. It's kind of whatever you want it to be. You can also do it retroactively. So if you couldn't get to something in March, but you found the perfect book for it in May, pop off, you can still check off that challenge. Without further ado, let's talk about March, because that's the one I'm the most behind on. But I think it's also potentially one of the more intricate ones. So again, apologies on me being so behind on this. But March's theme is color blocking. Color blocking is a term that originally came from fashion as well as art media. And it is almost exactly what it sounds like. It is blocks of color that are in contrast to one another that are used to create graphic senses of space. So these are just going to be some of my best examples of this. So for color blocking, I do know that I am going to be reading Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall, because this is actually part of my Litland for March. So this, I think, is also a great example of what color blocking can look like in its original form. Because to me, color blocking is really about using contrasting colors to create a graphic sense of space, to divide things up in ways that are, blocky, for lack of a better word. Though I don't think they always have to be rectangles or squares. Clearly, referencing the UK and the flag of, because this is set in London, you can see that in some of the cute little details, but overall, the rectangles and squares with the graphic red and blue with the white lines, this is an excellent example of color blocking, in my opinion. For those of you who would like to read more of a nonfiction pick, I think another fun potential option is one that's been on my TBR for ages, and that's Schultz and Peanuts, a biography by David Michaels, because this is, again, just not a rectangle, but very graphically color blocked. The iconic Charlie Brown t-shirt design feels very graphic and interesting. If you're looking for more of a lit fic, or I think maybe a thriller, I have Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessl. I've always wanted to read Marisha Pessl. I have a couple of her books, but haven't gotten around to actually reading them. But again, graphic color blocks. That's The Impossible Us by Sarah Lotz. So even though you have the character silhouette kind of interrupting, it's still color blocking in a way, with the graphic brighter colors that does create a sense of space on the cover, so this could work. I picked this prompt initially because I noticed it as a trend, an emerging trend within the publishing industry. Most of the examples I just gave you have been out for a little while, especially in the case of the biography I showed you. Boyfriend material is more of a recent publication though, so fits in with the kind of rising trend of this, but I feel like I'm noticing color blocking so much more. So here are some recent publications that kind of sparked that imagination for me. I think it actually ties in with the illustrated or cartoon cover trend really well because it creates a graphic sense of space with minimal effort on the cover. So I think these they're linked a little bit. Not Your Average Hot Guy by Gwenna Bond. You know, we have the kind of flames, but it's still very much color blocking. This one I'm really excited to read and almost picked it for my monthly pick, but I desperately want to read this in the fall. And that's My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. There's gonna be a second book in the series. I'll put the cover up here. I just saw the cover for it recently and it still has this graphic like color block feel to it. So I don't think that one will be released in time for this, but I'm very excited for the follow-up. Another one that I know I own physically, it's somewhere like in the second level and I didn't want to dig it out. My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey also has that graphic background color blocking that I thought would be perfect for this. So if you're looking for something to kind of soothe you, pull you into the warmer months with a vacation read, go get it. Great option. And then these next three are ones that I don't own, but would love to try either through my library or maybe adding them to my TBR one day. I actually have it on hold right now, is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is another kind of like celebrity memoir or series of essays, but the beautiful like buttery yellow and pink, there's so much color blocking going on in this cover that I find really graphically satisfying. A lot of folks reading this in the last year or two. Some other ones that I've noticed just browsing the stores that look interesting to me. The House of Doors by Tan Tuan Eng. It's kind of got more layered graphics to it, but it's also very clearly divided by color, which I thought was cool. And then I think this one is a YA pick, but The Wrong Kind of Weird by James Ramos. Looks really cute. And again, you see this work so well with that kind of cartoon illustrated style. So if you're feeling stuck, that might be another good way to check it out in your YA or your romances. All right, now for April. So April's prompt was inspired by Pantone's Color of the Year. They do this every year where they kind of arbitrarily decide what the color of the year is, but because they have been doing this successfully for so many years, you really start to notice trends follow that color of the year, whether that's in fashion, home design, makeup, and by extension, obviously book covers. So most of the things that I'm going to be talking to you about today were published before the announcement of the color of the year for 2024, but I would watch a lot of publishing trends to see if we see an amplification of this color, and that is peach fuzz. It is a pastel peach. This is also going to be a great example of you can use as much or as little of it on the cover as you want to check off a prompt, because most of the books from my TBR there's like a very little amount of them because the peach colors that I have are usually much deeper. So I think the best cheat for if you are stuck on what to do for April is find yourself a cover with a sunset, because inevitably there's some peach fuzz color on it. Like, so for example, Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner. I feel like not this orange color, but kind of like these little peachy bits off to the side. Very small amount of the color, if we're being real. I think it's probably more so here on the stripe, like this like peachy pink stripe. But it works. So one that is out now, but I don't own yet. I will be getting it at some point, but it is Megan by Rebecca Weatherspoon. If you read Rafe or Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon, this is part of that friend group. This is a YA historical romance, but Queen Bee by Amelie Howard. Now, a lot of these tones back here are more like buttery yellow and orange, but I do think that somewhere in like, again, the shading up top is a little bit of this peach fuzz color. This one might be a bit more of a stretch, but this is a book I want to highlight as kind of like a way to get through some of this, because some of the shading in between this buttery yellow and this burnt orange does kind of get you peach fuzz. And then I don't own a copy of this book, but I think it's likely it's on my virtual TBR, and that is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Soft. The cover for this is adorable and definitely has different shades of peach. If you're looking for a quick and easy read to hit this prompt, I think a graphic novel is a great way to go. I did read Crumbs last year by Dani Sterling and thought it was adorable. Even though it looks thick, it is a fast read. And again, the sunset of it all, you can kind of get these peach fuzz tones in this mid of the sunset. There's also like a little macaron on the back that kind of is in that peachy tone. So this is adorable. Yes, it is witchy and feels very fall, but the art is super cute and this would be a very easy thing to grab and go. By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, I think works. This might also feel like a bit more of a stretch, but there is some really fun like peachy colors in there. The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. If you've been looking to get back into Elle Kennedy's broader hockey universe, this is the kiddos from her off-campus series now. They get their own series. Maybe more saturated peach than strictly peach fuzz is, but I think that could work. If you're looking for something a bit more lit fic, this book has been on my shelf for a really long time, and I've always wanted to read it, but haven't found the right moment to prioritize it, and that's Sleepwalking by Meg Wolitzer. Again, the background of this feels very appropriate for the peach fuzz color. It's interesting, it's pretty, it's kind of got that dreamy peachy color, and it's all the heckin' gone over this cover. So you're covered. Oh, that was bad. I'm so sorry. Again, with the sunset trend with this color, I have this in hardback, but this is Songs in Ursa Major by Emma Brody, and this kind of just corner here feels very peach fuzz. And even though this is a special edition, so if you own the Illumicrate of this, this will definitely work. I think it will still work with the regular edition, but you'll have to check me on that. That is Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. Sorry, I had to really look for her last name, was not processing. But there's so many pretty peach tones in this cover. It is such a gorgeous cover, and the peach is, for me, one of the standouts for this. I think it's a really unique color to be in this kind of moody, broody fantasy book. And it's also in the sprayed edges, which is very satisfying. Okay, so those are my rapid fire recommendations for both March and April for the Book Covered Book Club. So hopefully that helps you prepare or double back and get to March in the case of March. And let me know if you've read any of these books down in the comments below so I can try to prioritize them appropriately if you think there's one that's really worth reading. There's a couple in that April stack that I might try to sneak in. We'll see how kind or cruel Litland is to me. As always, thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day or night, depending on when you see this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Hold on, girl, now wait just a minute. I've got something to say, you should hear it. Oh, I'm happy to make time.